Joining us on the program is Ryan Wheeler, the manager of Temple Baseball, which was cut back in December. Still playing out, though, their final season this year. Ryan, it's Zach Gelb and Chase Sr. here on campus. How you doing?
I'm fine. Thanks for having me this morning.
Well, Ryan, we appreciate you giving us a few minutes today, and I know yesterday at the Board of Trustees meeting it didn't go the way you hoped for it, as your sport did not get reinstated, but two teams did, men's crew and women's rowing. What was the scene yesterday, if you could describe it for me, down at the Board of Trustees meeting?
I'm very happy that for those coaches and their student athletes for being brought back. But then obviously there was sadness for the sports that were still going to be eliminated. I would say that the feel in the room was similar to the feel on December 6th. It was obviously much more controlled. The athletes, student athletes, and the other people in attendance, had a feeling of what was coming. It wasn't a total shock or surprise. I think everyone was hoping for, very positive news that all the sports were going to be brought back. But, in the end, the decision was made to only bring back a couple sports, and and that's where things are at. So just another tough day for our program and for my players, and I wish things were different for them.
And we've had you on before, and we talked about these athletic cuts in depth. And you look at what happened yesterday, and we just had Larry Doherty on, the Senior Associate Athletic Director of Temple University. And from what he was saying, it seemed like this is the final decision, and it doesn't look very hopeful for your program to be reinstated. And I know that you worked very diligently to try to bring back the program by talking to your players and talking to you in the past. So do you have a reasonable plan to save your program, and what is that plan?
Well, I do think the decision yesterday was somewhat final. I think from here, there may be some people behind the scenes that are going to try to take this further. I'm not sure if any of our parents, are planning on any civil action or anything like that. But I know for me personally, I need to probably end this chapter. I've spent a lot of time the last 2.5, almost 3 months now, working on this and really trying to come up with a practical solution to save us. But I think the news yesterday, almost put the nail in the coffin that we're not going to be able to come back. And it's probably time for us to move on and to start making plans for the future.
Manager of the Temple baseball team, Ryan Wheeler, joins us on the hotline. Ryan, it's Chase Sr. Thanks so much for joining us. You're entering your fourth season as the manager of the Temple baseball team. You previously spent time at Richmond. When you got the job here, you called it somewhat of a dream job because you're from around this area. What were some of the visions that you had for this program when you entered the first season as head coach?
Well, you're right. Coming back home was a great opportunity for me, and I was excited to bring my family back to the area where I grew up. Coming in here, I knew the history of Temple baseball. I knew that it was a proud program that was filled with a lot of success for a number of years. Skip Wilson did a tremendous job in building this program and really made it what it is today. And so, my first goal though was to bring some success back on the field. They most recently they just hadn't been enjoying a lot of success, and so we needed to get the product better on the field. And that started with recruiting, trying to bring in the players that were going to fit the system that we were going to implement. And I felt like we were on the right track with that. One of my other goals was to bring back the alumni. As I said, this is a very proud program filled with wonderful, wonderful people. And I think the alumni, had lost touch a little bit with the program, and so I wanted to bring those people back and get them involved so they felt invested in the program again. And then the last thing was to spread the word about Temple and what a tremendous opportunity it would be for players or student athletes to attend Temple and get a great education, and provide them with an opportunity to play Division I baseball. And we tried to really start locally, and let it be known that Temple was an option for players here because there's a lot of great players. And we wanted to bring as many of them into Temple as we could, and then, we just spread out from there. So those were the three main goals, and, I felt like we were doing a pretty good job with that.
From a baseball perspective, you lost 7 seniors to graduation, 6 more players left due to the team being cut. From a coaching standpoint, how difficult is it going to be to get an everyday rotation together, because you have some players to the at respective positions, but at the same time, there's not much depth on this team?
Yeah, and right now that's our biggest challenge, and it was good to finally play this past weekend and just start to see where we were at. But one thing I always tell the players is to be who they are and don't try to be something that they're not. And forget the talent that left. Put that aside. We were looking at sheer numbers and depth, and on the mound, we lost close to 200 innings, and that's just hard to replace. And right now, these early games, we're going to try to figure out who can fill certain roles and how we're just going to manage, getting through a game and just take it one game at a time. We tried some different lineups this weekend. We tried some guys in some different spots, and I probably stuck with some pitchers a little bit longer than I would have this weekend moving forward. But I needed to kind of see where they were at, and it's going to be a challenge. And I think we're just going to have to be flexible. I told the players they're going to need to be able to adjust, but they're going to get opportunities, and regardless of whether they had success this weekend or not, more opportunities were going to come their way, and they just had to do the best they could when the opportunity arises.
Title IX has been such an important issue that's been talked about, and it is one of the factors that was made in this decision to cut the number down originally from 24 to 17, and I know it got bumped back up yesterday as Ryan Wheeler, the manager of the Temple baseball team, joins us. You've been here for 4 years. How compliant do you believe Temple University has been with Title IX?
Title IX is one of those issues that, people don't really want to talk about because it's a little bit complex and it's a very sensitive topic. As a coach, you don't think about Title IX in your day-to-day work responsibilities, so you just assume that the administrators are, they've got a handle on that and they know where the university needs to be. I know 2 years ago we were recertified by the NCAA, which basically said that we were in compliance with Title IX. So, you take their word for what it is, and if you're compliant with the NCAA, then you assume that you're fine as a university.
The toughest part of your job is that you look at players, you look at parents, you bring them in, you recruit them, and you make all these promises. And we always know the pitch from a coach when they're recruiting is that we'll make you the best person both on and off the field throughout your 4 years here at Temple. And you bring in some freshmen, you have some sophomores and even juniors that won't be able to complete their time here at Temple University as a baseball player. And I know you lose your job, and it's very unfortunate. Your assistants lose their jobs as well. But how do you look a player and a parent in their eyes and really just tell them what has happened to the university and the state of the program after you made all these promises?
The one thing that I have in this game is my reputation, and day in and day out, I try to be as professional as I can be, and I try to be honest with people, whether it's players and families, whether it's facilities, equipment people, whoever I'm dealing with. You try to be honest because you don't want to ruin your reputation. It's been hard for me to deal with this because I had no idea these cuts were coming, and the best thing that I can say to these players and to these families is that I had no idea because I didn't, and that when we recruited you and brought you in here, I believed that the future looked bright for Temple baseball, and the opportunities that we were going to give them both on and off the field, were very real. And so, right now, the best thing that I can say is I'm sorry, and that I had no idea this was coming. But moving forward, I will try to help them however I can so that they can either continue at Temple, move on to another school, and their future still looks bright. And this is difficult for them right now. It's probably the hardest thing that they've ever had to go through. It's certainly one of the hardest things I've ever gone through in baseball. But we're going to do whatever we can to try and help them out, and things will be okay.
Ryan, I know it's extremely difficult to extract some positives from the situation, but has these cuts helped bring your team together at all as the season has already started?
Yeah, there's been times where we certainly have bonded and come together. I think morale today is probably going to be a little bit low. I spoke to the team Sunday night about 1:30 in the morning when we got back from our trip and explained to them, what Monday may or may not bring. And, I told them, I said, I'd love for you to be at the meeting, but I said I also understand that hearing the news that we're not reinstated may be too difficult, and so I'm not going to require you to be there. So about half my team showed up. So we'll address them today before we practice, but I anticipate morale being a little bit low. We're going to have to try to extract some sort of positive from this, and continue to stay together and fight as a group, because that's all we have right now is each other, and that's what we're going to try to do moving forward.
You had a wonderful career at Penn State University as a player. You got drafted in the Major League Baseball draft, and you've had some success as a coach. What's next for you? Would you like to continue your coaching career?
Yeah, I would. Right now, I don't know where that's going to be or if it's going to be, but I don't coach for the money. I don't coach for the fame and the glory. I coach because of being able to give back to the game and help these players have the type of experience that I've had. And I know that may sound like a cliche or like I'm preaching or something, but that's honestly why I coach. And some of my former players from schools in the past have reached out to me here in the last 24 hours, in the last several months, and that's why I coach, because of those relationships. And so I would like to stay in the game, but we're not going to know about that until the summertime when openings come available. And I've got a young family to feed, and so I'm not sure what the next chapter is going to be, but I would like to stay in coaching.
On the way out here with Ryan Wheeler, and we all know how tight you coaches are here at Temple University, and it's a shame to see what's happening. I know you understand it to some extent, and I understand, and a lot of it is money driven. And in this state of college athletics, it's tough to operate with 24 varsity teams. And when the 5 sports were made and they were cut, which is final from yesterday, from what all it appears, people look to blame another program or certain individuals, and the football team has taken a lot of blame for these decisions. And we had Matt Rule in the studio last week for 30 minutes, and we talked about the decision of the cuts, and he said, hey, I've been supportive of the pass of Temple University with baseball, orchestra, and a bunch of other programs even before he was the head coach, and he really does feel for you. But what do you say to the fans of your program, or maybe even some of the players or assistant coaches that say, hey, the football team is a big reason for these cuts?
Well, I think maturity and experience allows me to not go to that place there. Look, is wrong. In fact, I don't put any blame on them. They didn't make this decision. They're doing their job, and those student athletes are getting their opportunities there in their sport. So to blame them, I think is wrong. I think we are a tight group of coaches there at Temple, and it's a little awkward right now, knowing that some of us are leaving, some are staying, and probably going to benefit from the cuts that have been made. But they had nothing to do with this. These decisions were made by people that were higher up and are in a position to have to make those decisions. So you you can't blame the other sports or the other programs for these cuts.
Well, Ryan, we appreciate a few minutes today. We know this is a tough issue to talk about, and we appreciate your honesty as well. And best of luck to you, your family, your assistants, and your players through the rest of the season. And let's see some more wins here to end out this thing.
All right, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Ryan Wheeler right there, the manager of Temple Baseball. Gelb and Chase here with you on the main event. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back to wrap up shop right after these short messages.